All right, we got Juche Gang news though. Monday, June 15th. You can always type that in here. You can technically even type it before I go live and get the news. If you happen to catch it after I posted it and Strin has updated it. And thank you, Strin, for updating the news. Appreciate you. We got Monday, June 15th, 2026, volume 15 today. Yeah, having a Facebook page means that you've been around for a long time. It's funny because Collective TV is actually talking about doing like an episode where a bunch of us Facebook warriors get together. Everybody, make sure you're following my comrade Anna as well, please. Streamer here on this site and others. Some of you who are watching Dave's stream might have seen this already. Anyone get the footage of this? Maybe that's what this must be. Does this show that video? Oh yeah, here it is. Look. There we go. Okay, there we go. This is what I want to see. Okay. So, we've got the British Royal Marines board and seize a Russia-linked tanker. This is from the Shadow Fleet, chat. The Shadow Fleet. On Sunday, British Royal Marines boarded and seized an oil tanker in the English Channel that the UK says is part of Russia's Shadow Fleet, a term Western countries use to describe vessels that ship Russian oils despite US and European sanctions. I need people have to send me some fan mail. I'll have to have a section for that in the Discord maybe. I'll make a thread under my thing. According to ship tracking data, the tanker Simrodos, sailing under the Cameroonian flag, had deported the Russian Baltic seaport of Ustolka and was bound for Port Said, Egypt, before being intercepted by British forces. The British Ministry of Defense said the operation to seize the tanker lasted 6 hours, that the ship would provisionally move to an anchorage off the south coast of England and will be monitored for any environmental or safety concerns. Several other tankers, allegedly part of Russia's Shadow Fleet, have been seized by France and other European countries over the past year. But Sunday's incident marks the first time a ship was intercepted in the English Channel. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer had been threatening for some time to take action against Russian-linked tankers and said on Sunday that the seizure of Simrodos delivers yet another blow to Russia. And he reminds those fueling Putin's war in Ukraine that we will not let them hide. Keir Starmer. Me, when I'm a bunch of pirates in a trench coat, but I call myself Great Britain. That describes Great Britain, yeah. Yeah, that's the UK for you. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, look, it's like a Vidya game. It's chat. Look. The Vidya game.
First-person shooter video games apparently racked up 10,000 games on one website and the message board 4chan.
Dangerous. This looks deadly. What? Dangerous mission for these troops. Oh yeah, what did he find there? Coffee? Look, sir. We found the coffee. Right here, sir. I think this is his weed. Sir, we found the weed. Arrest them. Bring them in. Bring them over to Britain. These Russians have weed, chat. They chose drugs. They chose drugs. Jesus Christ. This is Britain. To be fair, this has always been Britain though. Back me up. We found the drugs. Look at this guy. Knife, pistol, machine gun. Every Western army is ice. Yeah, essentially. Essentially. He's just carrying it around like that. Look. Just walking through. Yeah, just walk through your vessel like this. They land on your vessel. Land on your vessel and then fucking run through it like this. Look. Sir. Sir. This is a transport vessel? How did that go, Mana? That's always a risky endeavor. Okay. Israel continues to raid southern Lebanon. Shortly after the announcement, a memorandum of understanding between the US and Iran, which included the end of the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, Israeli occupation forces press ahead with their assaults south of the Arab country, violating the deal. According to Lebanese media outlets, Israeli warplanes carried out 2 airstrikes in the early hours of Monday, targeting the town of Majdal Zun. A drone strike hit areas of the town of Kefir Tibinet as well. There were, however, no immediate reports about possible casualties and the extent of damage caused. The aerial aggression was coupled with intense and ongoing artillery bombardment of the city of Nabatea and the town of Kafir Remen, Nabatea Al Fakha, and Kafir Tibnet. Additional reports also noted further strikes by occupation forces in the town of Qim and Markaba in the southern Lebanon, along with the drone attack of the town of Harris and Bin Jabal in the district of Nebatia Governorate. Hezbollah continues to confront the Israeli occupation and respond to its ongoing aggression against Lebanon and its people. Now, this doesn't mean that the agreement isn't still going to happen, because that's kind of the way Empire operates whenever it says there's going to be a ceasefire and agreement anyway, so we'll see. It all depends, I guess, on how much the US is wanting to restrain its imperialist lapdog there. So that's kind of what we got to wait and find out. Because that will be the determining factor, of course. Iran in response, and Iran kind of in response to all of this, Iran is saying that they're going to be holding the US to account for the implementation. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Aragachi, and if you have those emotes, please do share, has discussed the agreement with the United States with his counterparts from Turkey, Iraq, Egypt, Japan, and Saudi Arabia, emphasizing US responsibility for implementing the deal. Speaking in a separate telephone calls on Monday morning with Hakan Fidan of Turkey, Fayyad Hussein of Iraq, Badir Abdelatty in Egypt, Toshimitsu Modeki in Japan, and Faisal bin Farhan in Saudi Arabia. Aragachi discussed the process and provisions of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, referring to the responsibility of the United States in implementing the agreement. Aragachi emphasized the need for a complete halt to the destabilizing aggressions and the Israeli attacks against Lebanon. Can I get a US out of Lebanon in chat? Any brave comrades willing to type these words? Here's the little girl herself. Here she is, Chad. If anyone feels like sending the direct donos to go to Mumies' fund, this is the Mumies. Here she is. Hi, Mumies. This is the old Mumies. She's a sweet old Mew. The sweet old Mewmies. Hey Mewmies. Injections and antibiotics. They would be helpful. Hey Mews. Say hi to chat Mews. Get your beautiful close up. Where you gonna go? Careful. There. There, now she can get a better close up. It's the Mewmies. I just want to know how my freedom ended up needing protection in Lebanon in the first place. Oh, you made a mistake. You're protecting their freedom, Mana. There, Mimi's gave you all a little rub to thank you for any help that you send her. She very much will appreciate it. Lainey, welcome in. Good to see you. All right, next up in the news.
New
This
tip
one.
from Antifa Groupie. Antifa Groupie supported with 10.
Antifa
Memes.
Groupie. Thank you, comrade. Very much appreciate your support. Thank you. $10 chat. See there, you can make the voice, you can make the sound alert say things too. All right, we got another based article for this month from Workers' World Party. Protest over cop attack at Philly Pride March. And I do recommend this one you check out the full article. Philadelphia police, acting as if Stonewall Rebellion never happened, violently attacked Philadelphia's Gayborhood bar. Gayborhood after the annual Pride Parade on June 7th, targeting black and brown members of the LGBTQIA 2 Spirit Plus community, arresting 15 people. Dozens of activists came out to protest the next day. June 8th, gathering at the 13th Street and Walnut Street location where the police rampage took place, carrying signs saying, "No Pride for Cops." And Pride is still a riot. The demonstrators picked up more participants as they marched through the neighborhoods, growing to 100 activists by the time they reached police headquarters on North Broad Street. Speakers at the Pigs Brutalized Pride Fight Back March condemned the police, punching of protesters celebrating Pride, and the use of batons and lasers. Masked officers and the 150 cops who mounted units that were used to clear out the neighborhood. The homophobic, transphobic, and racist aggression by the police was directed at the LGBTQI2 Spirit Plus community. Barricades created gridlocks that left people with nowhere to go. Tasers, not lasers. Escalating an already tense situation. Cops openly disrespected community members, misgendering transgender and not gender non-conforming people. Workers' World Party. Protect the neighborhood, chat. Cops out of the neighborhood. Hi, Mewies. You're a Mews. Alright, we got socialist headlines up next. Yeah, well, you know. You know what I think about the ACP. Pride belongs to the people. And they will take it back. Alright, it's time for your socialist headlines, comrades. First up, Cuba. Diaz-Canel explains priorities. The first, he said, is preparation for defense. And you will know the intensity with which every element of the territorial defense system is being prepared, how the weekly defense days are being utilized, and everything that is being done to refine the plans, the adaptation of the plans to the experiences we have gained, but also seeking everything we can optimize in terms of
New
population
tip from
protection.
Catgill Steph.
Yo,
Catgill Steph supported with 15.
Catgirl Steph,
Meow,
thank you
meow,
so
meow,
much.
meow.
Thank you. Very much appreciate that. Meow, meow, meow. Indeed. Thank you for your support, comrade. But also seeking everything we can optimize in terms of population protection in a people's war strategy. So much like DPRK, a people's war strategy means that you have your regular army, you have your volunteer militias, and as many people as possible are encouraged to take part and at least get trained, so that in the event of an invasion, anyone in any neighborhood is ready to, grab guns from the armory and defend their country. Yeah, complaining, much like Iran, exactly. You literally have people, well, for like since this war began, out there every single day with guns, marching in the street, showing they're ready to defend their country. Some of them literally every day. The other major priority, the president said, is the economic and social program for 2026. Diaz-Canel recalled that it was submitted for public debate at the end of last year, and that from this collective reflection, many proposals emerged, especially regarding elements of transformation in the economic and social model. I mean, if you can legally get a gun in your neighborhood, it's always good to have a gun. Absolutely. This public debate broadened, strengthened, and reinforced the projections contained in the initial document, and respecting the opinions of our people. In recent months, we have worked intensively with experts consulting criteria, including international criteria, using artificial intelligence platforms, comparing, he said, the island's experience with the particularities of countries like China and Vietnam, which are also in the process of socialist construction and which, at a certain point, not as prolonged as ours, experience blockades. Municipal autonomy and business autonomy were other work priorities on which the Cuban president reflected. Regarding the powers that can be granted to municipalities, he referred to creating the conditions so that these entities have, quote, every possibility of deciding which are their enterprises and which are their economic actors, and the matrices of interrelation are among these economic actors, how local production systems are convinced and built, and how engenderous strengths are leveraged. That's right, Sam. Thank you. Another priority that has been addressed and promoted, as the president explained, involves the use of renewable energy sources in all sectors, and how we are becoming less and less dependent on electricity generation using fossil fuels. Good to see you, Dan. Welcome back. I saw you the other day, but it was just briefly. And especially imported fossil fuels. Fossil fuels. Given the impact of this criminal energy towards blockade on our country, which has seen only one tanker enter Cuba in the last 5 months. Regarding tourism, severely impacted by the imperialist blockade, the president alluded to the importance of moving towards new approaches with new players that will allow for the development of all the infrastructure we have. The Cuban president referred to the perfection that we must achieve among ourselves with our own efforts and talent, not external interference that wants nothing to do with what the revolution has dreamed of for the Cuban people.
Juche is what's happening on this planet, y'all.
Cuba. Now, this was actually all taken from a large article. This is one, again, I recommend reading all of. It's good. Okay, this is an article from Lao, but it's an article on China. But it's a good one. How Samola Village built a sustainable path to development. For decades, residents relied on subsistence farming, cultivating crops such as rice and maize with little certainty of stable income. Limited access to electricity, clean water, and transportation left the village largely disconnected from outside markets and opportunities. Today, Samola is home to 73 households, with around 300 residents, and has become an example of how targeted investment and local initiative can transform a rural economy. According to Zhao Siquin, Zixing, deputy mayor of Xingshui town, the village's transformation from poverty alleviation to rural revitalization has helped create jobs locally and encourage many people to remain in or return to their hometown. The transformation began with major improvements in the infrastructure, including roads, utilities, and public services. However, officials say long-term success was achieved by shifting the local economy away from subsistence agricultural towards tourism and service industries. Land consolidation and investment promotion enabled more efficient agricultural production, including the cultivation of higher value crops such as rapeseed. At the same time, the village developed tourism, related businesses, and now accounts for the majority of the local economic activity. The key element of Samola's development has been a three-way cooperation model involving government authorities, village cooperatives, and private investors. Under this approach, public investment provides infrastructure and commercial facilities. Private operators manage businesses and create employment opportunities, while local residents participate as shareholders and receive dividends from collective enterprises. The model has supported the establishment of community businesses, including cafes, souvenir shops, accommodation services, and production facilities, generating new income streams for the villagers. Hell yeah. Common W for China. Humanoid robots, from demonstrations to real-world jobs. They took their jobs. But at what cost? China is stepping up efforts to move humanoid robots beyond eye-catching demonstrations into workplaces, as policymakers seek to accelerate and commercialization of embodied AI. The initiative supports the deployment of around 10,000 humanoid robots in more than 100 high-value scenarios, marking one of China's most ambitious efforts yet to bring technology into practical use. Some humanoid robots have already begun working in controlled environments, such as hotels and factories. According to Xinhua news agency, China shipped about 17,000 humanoid robots in 2025, produced by more than 140 companies nationwide. Unlike large language models, which are trained primarily on internet-based text data, humanoid robots must learn from constantly changing real-world environments, where people, objects, and conditions are constantly in motion. While 6 months is a relatively short time frame, experts say initiatives could accelerate the industry's development by encouraging companies to test technologies in real-world settings, accumulate valuable data, and converge more quickly on viable engineering solutions. And here we've got a video as well.
With backflip kicks, in marathons, and in ping pong. Ooh, we make a round. humanoid robots have become internet stars. What I really want to know is when they can start do chores so I can have more me time. They still look quite clumsy.
It can start to actually perform tasks in home-like settings like hotels. If humanoid robots are to enter real-world home environments, I think there is still a long way to go. This is because it needs to address issues like the robot's brain having generalization capabilities and the ability to execute the tasks with precision. We're also considering the battery's endurance, accuracy, and safety in task completion.
China wants to fast-track humanoid robots and embodied AI into industry under a nationwide program. It sets an ambitious target that requires humanoid robots and related key products to be routinely deployed in real-world scenarios in less than 6 months.
As these specific scenarios are implemented, we'll also accumulate more data, and all this data will contribute to the training and emergence of a more generalized.
There's people using them with headsets I saw in that scene back there.
17,000 humanoid robots in 2025, produced by more than 140 companies. The focus is no longer just on hardware performance. The goal is to teach robots to understand the physical world, to perceive their surroundings, make decisions autonomously, and learn new tasks on the job. In industry terms, is known as building a physical world model.
We're still in the process of gradually understanding the physical world based on the digital sensing and digital computers. So in order to help the robots to understand the real world and to interact with the real world, probably the data, the environment need to be more dynamic instead of purely static.
The plan calls for more than 100 high-value applications to be created to support the deployment of more than 10,000 units by year-end. 6 months is not a long time, but a concentrated effort like this can help the industry converge more quickly on viable engineering solutions that also drives companies along the industrial chain. Zhao Chenchen, CGTN, Beijing.
There you go. China. More China W's. As if you needed to see any more of those. What diseases can respiratory medicine treat? To mark June 15th, World Breath Day, a public welfare campaign launched in China. This episode of CGTN Health Talk takes you through the essentials of the body's airway. Our guest, Dr. Xu Jinfu, president of Shanghai Tongji Hospital, answers frequently asked questions about coughing and breathing difficulties and shares 3 actionable tips for protecting your lungs. Getting older doesn't mean you should cough. In theory, none of us should cough from birth to the end of our lives. If coughing progressively increases or lasts more than 3 days, it should be taken seriously. If the coughing persists for more than 2 weeks, medical attention is necessary. How should someone describe their spit to their doctor? Their sputum. Their sputum can provide clues. In general, with viral infections, the sputum tends to be white or scanty. If purulent sputum appears, it may be associated with an infection. Moreover, the sputum is purulent, it also shows different colors, and it can indicate different diseases. If there is blood in the sputum, we need to pay more attention. It could be due to bronchitis, tuberculosis, or even tumors. If the sputum is very thick, or shows layering, it may suggest bronchitis. The sputum is very watery, and the daily volume is very large. It might be related to mucus gland conditions. In summary, in all of these situations, it is recommended to rely on clinical judgment of a doctor, rather than making a simple self-diagnosis. How can we prevent respiratory diseases in daily life? Because the lungs are an open outside environment, we should give them clean, fresh air. This means quitting smoking. avoiding occupational exposure to pollutants, and wherever possible, staying in places with fresh air. For patients with allergies, avoiding exposure to allergens is also very important. How can asthma be prevented? Bronchial asthma may be determined by one's constitution. A large proportion of people with bronchial asthma also have allergic rhinitis. It's present in the patients, so recommended to see a doctor as early as possible to find out what causes it and to receive treatment. This may be one way to prevent bronchial asthma. Another important factor is protecting one's health, is knowing which allergens you are sensitive to. Is snoring abnormal? Snoring can be caused by many factors. Under normal circumstances, people should not snore. If snoring occurs, there must be some abnormal condition present. If snoring is accompanied by obvious breathing pauses, then the patient should undergo sleep apnea monitoring to determine whether it has reached a pathological state. Once it does, long-term hypoxia may lead to cumulative damage to other organs throughout the body. The patient may experience sleepiness and fatigue the next day. In such cases, it is necessary to identify the cause and provide treatment. If snoring only occurs occasionally, and there is no clear breathing pause during sleep, then it is relatively a normal physiological condition. What disease can respiratory medicine treat? Respiratory medicine covers a wide range. For example, lung nodules and small pulmonary are among the conditions of this department. The other major category is chronic respiratory disease, such as pulmonary disease, bronchitis, asthma, and so on. Then there are respiratory system infections, including upper respiratory infections like cold and influenza, as well as pneumonia. These are all diseases within the respiratory field, and also includes interstitial lung diseases, which include conditions like scariotosis, pneumonia, pulmonary arthritis, vasculitis, and more. So whenever there are symptoms involving the lungs, shadows appearing in lung symptoms, or even the respiratory system, patients should visit their care facilities. First, lung function testing is very important. After the age of 40, it's highly recommended to include lung function testing as part of your annual routine checkup. Second, don't assume that coughing or fatigue is normal just because you're getting older. Under normal circumstances, even as you age, you shouldn't cough and your lung function shouldn't decline significantly. If you experience these symptoms, you should be evaluated for possible underlying conditions. Third, regarding coughing, if you have phlegm, you should cough it out, rather than using cough suppressants to stop the cough. Coughing is a normal reflex of the body. If there are secretions in the lungs, expelling them through coughing is actually beneficial. There you go. No, he's amazingly, unlike in the US, doctors in China don't just tell you stuff to sell you something. He's just selling you health, yeah. Alright, and another one from CGTN here. A triple header. I got a lot of socialist news today. From misty ridges to neon cafes. Southwest China's Yunnan province, the country's largest coffee growing region, is transforming its coffee industry. No, welcome in. Rather than focusing solely on production, the province is combining coffee with tourism, education, and rural experiences to create new sources of income. In Pure City, better known for its namesake tea, coffee has become another local specialty. The city has actively combined coffee and tourism, developing coffee estates, coffee-themed streets, and cultural fairs that attract visitors from across China. Baixiapo and Pierre is known as the Beautiful Star Village. Yongfeng Wat Kagu, Windy Coffee Valley. It has been transformed into a vibrant coffee community. Thanks to Rural Vitalization Project supported by Shanghai Yunnan Corporation. Oh no, no worries, comrade. Good to see you in. In recent years, trendy estate-style village cafes have not only infused the countryside with the touch of modern chic, but have also become beacons of urban-rural integration and rural revitalization. Across Yunnan, home to 98% of China's coffee bean planting exceeds 1.2 million, about 80,000 hectares, and annual output tops 140,000 tons. The bean has become the province's quiet engine.
Have you ever thought a single red coffee berry could rewrite the fate of an entire mountain village? Today, we will trace how the coffee industry built a full industrial chain and turned a once quiet mountain area into a thriving hub for agriculture, tourism, and rural services.
This is the new phase of the coffee industry in southwest China's Yunnan province, the country's largest coffee growing region. By shifting from raw material production to the experience economy, Yunnan is integrating coffee with education, tourism, and rural living. In Pu'er City, renowned for its eponymous tea, coffee has emerged as another shining calling card. The city has actively integrated coffee and tourism, creating a variety of vibrant scenes such as coffee estates, coffee-themed streets, and coffee culture fairs, all of which have become popular with visitors from near and far. Baixiapo in Pu'er is also known as Beautiful Star Village. It has been transformed into a vibrant coffee community thanks to a rural vitalization project supported by Shanghai Yunnan Corporation.
像我的话就在家里面的话，管着咖啡地啊，近几年的话，这个咖啡价格比较高，我们的收入的话也是翻倍的增加。
Their income has more than doubled since they started growing coffee, and the living environment has dramatically improved. Even the villages near us, seeing how good our environment is, are starting to change themselves.
为什么当初选择想做这个？
Your first choose to do this? It stems largely from passion, and another aspect is the desire to introduce Yunnan coffee to the world through the profession of barista. The most obvious change is the increase of the income of the local farmers. As Yunnan coffee improves, the number of tourists are attracted to the area, which boosts the economy and also increases local agricultural production, all of which we witness firsthand.
Village cafes have not only infused the countryside with a touch of modern chic, but also become beacons for urban-rural integration and rural revitalization. Once the estate's only goal was to grow beans, now it blends farming, roasting, and guest house into a single cup.
Our area is not just a coffee-producing region, it's a place where guests can experience coffee culture and Pu'er lifestyle after visiting the origin. Our customer traffic here from January to the end of last year was approximately 300,000. Taking our village as an example, the most obvious improvement is the significant increase in the villagers' income. The trend of specialty coffee is an obvious benefit of this to the coffee farmers from the perspective of their income increase. One of the biggest advantages on the industrial side is that we can keep more of the profits locally, which ultimately give back to the many customers now. And we can get back to the community, and now many customers love the coffee. Restaurants and related supporting services in the area can all see significant improvement. As you can see, our roads are very wide and clean, and every house is beautifully constructed.
What I see here is a completely different take on this, altogether. I guess tea tourism is a thing now, and you're taking it to the next level by introducing tea, coffee, and many other things. So I was really interested in agroforestry, where you could not just plant coffee or not just tea, but you could incorporate or have different varieties and how that could be helpful.
In the lecture, we got the privilege to learn more about this, how technology has been used in developing the quality of coffee production in China. This kind of infrastructure and this kind of building around this coffee production is something where Sri Lankan can't learn. We could actually learn.
Oh, there you go. Another China W. All right. I've got Vietnam. Vietnam. China promote development strategy. This is what we want to see right here. Vietnam consistently considered the development of the ties with China as a consistent policy, an objective requirement, a strategic and natural choice, and a top priority in Vietnam's foreign policy of independence, self-reliance, multi-ruralization, and diversification. Thank you for that big word. I always love that. Said Prime Minister Lee Min-hung during the phone calls with Chinese Premier Li Qiang on June 15th. In an atmosphere of friendship, trust, substance, and openness, the two cabinet leaders expressed their pleasure in holding the first phone call following their first session in Vietnam's 16th National Assembly, which completed the government leadership elections and appointments. Vietnam. Furthermore, this is from DPRK. We have the delegation of Vietnamese Ministry of Public Security arrives in Pyongyang. A delegation of the Ministry of Public Security of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, led by Minister Luong Tam Quang, arrived in Pyongyang on June 13th. The delegation was greeted at Pyongyang International Airport by Kim Sung-nam, Vice Minister of the Public Security of DPRK, and Lee Ba-vin, Vietnamese ambassador to the DPRK. Two pieces of Vietnamese good news for you, comrades, today. And then we have DPRK. DPRK acrobats win top prize. The World Festival of Circus Art, Idol 2026, took place in Moscow of Russia from May 30th to June 7th. The festival brought together more than 180 excellent acrobats from 12 countries, including the DPRK, China, Russia, Mongolia, and Italy. At the physical acrobatics, wire rope walking, the DPRK acrobats were acclaimed by the audience for the wonderful skills they displayed on an 8-meter high wire rope. At the award ceremony, the grand prize, the highest prize of the festival, and 2 other gold prizes were awarded to DPRK's physical acrobats, wire rope walking, and the Idol silver prize and bronze prize to its physical acrobatics balancing etude. KCNA. Let's go. DPRK acrobats winning the top prize in Moscow. Love to see that. This is a big article, one that I encourage you to read all of later when you get a chance. DPRK has the best clown college. Revolutionary Clown College. Clown Cadres College. Amazing. All right, I do encourage you to read this one when you get the chance. This whole article is great. But this is upsurge and development of overall national economy from DPRK again. What is the most prominent among the successes achieved in the period of the 8th term of the Party Central Committee is that a definite result of the readjustment and reinforcement strategy was obtained in the key industrial sectors, and that lots of light industrial bases were newly built or modernized, thus strengthening the existing production capacity and layering a reliable foundation capable of guaranteeing their prospective development. the theme of the 5-year plan for national economic development set forth by the Eighth Party Congress was self-reliance and self-sufficiency. And the strategy of achieving overall economic development in the spirit of self-sustenance was just the readjustment and reinforcement strategy.
Juche is what's happening on this planet, y'all.
Our revolution was faced with unprecedentedly grim subjective and objective environment during the 8th term of the Party Central Committee. Under such a situation, the Great Party Central Committee set forth the most scientific and wise policy for effecting an upsurge in development of overall national economy on the strength of self-reliance by clarifying in readjustment and reinforcement strategy. The readjustment and reinforcement strategy elucidated by the Party Central Committee is the most scientific and unique line, which enables our economy to maintain a socialist character and independence, and the socialist construction to move the stage of comprehensive development. The respected Comrade General Secretary Kim Jong-un, who indicated the best policy for implementing the 5-year plan, convened a second plenary meeting of the 8th Party Central Committee, and saw that the plenary meeting served as a very important and significant occasion in making officials in the economic sector make a fresh start with bold pioneering spirit and pluck. Let's go pluck. When some officials proposed to import large compressors urgently needed for expanding fertilizer production capacity in the Namhung Youth Chemical Complex and the Hungnam Fertilizer Complex, the respected Comrade General Secretary opted to produce the large compressors in a domestic way instead, avoiding importing them, regarding it as an important political issue of steadily carrying forward the ideal and tradition of self-reliance and strengthening the motive force of the revolution. He earnestly said that as the party is like the mother of the people, so the officials in the light industry sector can be likened to their eldest sister. Rodong Sinmun. Let's go. Check out that whole thing. It's a beautiful article. And I've got one last one from Rodong Sinmun for you. Eternal DPRK government. Policy of the DPRK. Best things to the children. Can you imagine? Imagine a government with a policy like this. Pretty hard to, huh? Everything for the children? I thought put money into schools, not prisons, was unrealistic. Plucky is an adjective meaning having showing determined courage, spirit, and bravery, especially in difficult circumstances. The word often carries an affectionate or admiring tone. It is commonly used to describe underdogs, small individuals, or those who refuse to give up when challenged by something much more powerful. That describes Kim Jong-un, I would say. Alright, our final article today. Eternal Government Policy of the DPRK. Best things to children. To provide the children with the best things has become the major policy of the party in the state, and is thoroughly guaranteed in a legal way in our country. Such laws as the law on nursing and upbringing of children, the law on ensuring children's rights, and the law on child care are associated with the great benevolence of the party in the state. Best things to children. This is indeed one of the most important principles our party and state has consistently adhered to in their work. The law on nursing and upbringing of children, overflowing with fervent love of posterity, is the one whose every article was drawn up by President Kim Il-sung, who loved the children most and put them forward as kings of the country throughout his life. The President's earnest instructions at the 6th session of the 5th Supreme People's Assembly, where the law on the nursing and upbringing of children was adopted, touched the heartstrings of people even now. Numberless are the creations for the children, including facilities for nursing and upbringing of children, as well as the Pyongyang Maternity Hospital, the Oakru Children's Hospital, where our children are provided with excellent medical services. Baby homes and orphanages erected thanks to the benevolence of the Motherly Party, our happy cradle of parentless children. Under the love and care of President Kim Il-sung, Chairman Kim Jong-il, and respected Comrade General Secretary Kim Jong-un, who spare nothing for the rising generations, the law on nursing and upbringing of children was supplemented several times, and the law on ensuring children's rights, conducive to fully ensuring the rights and interests of children in all spheres, newly adopted in 2010, by further consolidating and developing the system of ensuring the rights of the children. The socialist policies for our children have only increased, including the adoption and implementation of several laws, such as the law on ensuring the right of women, and the law on preferential treatment of a family with many children. The respected Comrade General Secretary ardently said that there is no more important revolutionary work than the work of bringing up children, the future of the country, to be strong and sound, and that it is the most important policy and supreme cherished desire of our party and state to provide more improvement conditions of bringing them up, even at the cost of huge sum of money. He acquainted himself with a number of nurslings and kindergartners across the country, and the milk intake a day, and personally tasted the trial-produced milk powder and was concerned for its quality. Rodong Simon. And there is even more to that as well. And there's the book on the law of children right there, which has been just released. There you go. A Tank 2 production, comrades. That is your Juche Gang news for today.